Right, so that's that alignment. One of the most effective leadership strategies, although I hate to reduce it to a strategy because it's more than that, is to produce an organization predicated on the intrinsic alignment of interests, right? And so what you really want if you set up an organization is you want each person pursuing a goal that they personally value and so are willing to work for and to sacrifice for and to dedicate themselves to. And then you want each of those goals to be serving a superordinate goal that unites and moves the entire team ahead. And then you don't have to use coercion and so forth. And you can imagine if you're doing that, helping each athlete become the best they can be on the personal level for whatever personal gain they might manage in terms of being more resilient and in terms of achievement, status, and all of those things, comparative status. You're also doing the same thing for the team. And you can see you can understand without much effort how useful that would be in executive management, for example. Like I worked with a number of extraordinarily good managers in the business realm, especially on the legal front, and then also in academia. And the really great managers, they had a very light touch. They tended to go around and remove problems before they started. And so it often looked like they were doing almost nothing. But they were also extremely good at aligning people's interests so that everybody was moving in the same desirable direction. And so what do you think you did badly on that front and had to learn to do better? And what do you think you did well?
I think the things I did well were the things I mentioned. It's especially as a woman, it's difficult to hold each other accountable. Typically, women, they don't like to be assertive in that way. They think it's mean. They take it personal. And so something I always tried to do well was hold people accountable in a way that made them want to do better. And I think that falls along with, again, helping people develop personally to reach those team goals, which again, I don't think even a male can understand necessarily how especially a group of 40 women, that dynamic is hard to navigate. And so holding people accountable, I think it's crucial. And I feel as if I did that relatively well. What I think I could have probably improved on is being a little more understanding. It's hard for me to put myself in someone else's shoes sometimes, to consider what they have going on outside of, the sport, because we truly did put so much of our identity, so much of our self-worth into our sport that I oftentimes would forget to look at anything other than what's going on in the sport. If someone was having a bad practice, it was very quick for me to get snippy at them without remotely thinking about other factors that could contribute to the bad practice, whether that be sleep, diet, school.
That's a hard psychological dynamic. And you made a sex-specific comment there, too, that we could delve into. Well, if you're focused on a particular goal and you're competitive and achievement-oriented and you want to win, then your focus tends to narrow to that particular domain, right?
Absolutely.
And what that means is that you'll sacrifice other interests and concerns for that particular, what would you say, ability to progress along that particular axis. And as you said, well, that can come across as harsh. Now, on average, women are more agreeable than men. And so that means, on average, they're less harsh, at least overtly. And, it's an open question, and I don't think anybody knows exactly how to answer this question. Then what effective leadership on the female front looks like? Now, you faulted yourself, and I would say you faulted yourself in some sense for taking a more masculine perspective on those sorts of group endeavors, because it's typical among men for a group of men to concentrate on the goal at hand and to say, to hell with all the other concerns, which is something like, don't bring your bloody troubles to work, just do your damn job. Now, you made the point that was perhaps differentially challenging when working with women. Do you think Why do you think that? Why isn't that just a sexist claim, for example? I mean, why do you think that's the case? Where have you run into that, and how would you justify it? And what did you do about it?
Right. Yeah, this is solely based off my experiences. At the University of Kentucky, of course, there's a men's team and a women's team. My husband now, who I've married, he was on the men's team at Kentucky. Just watching their interactions, watching how they can communicate with each other, brush it off, come back to the next practice and be totally fine. That doesn't work with girls. Again, based solely off of my experiences, this isn't to overgeneralize. This is to share exactly what I have seen firsthand. Girls tend to be more moody. They tend to not take constructive criticism as well, whether that be from the coach or from other teammates or from whoever. But the men, on the other hand, especially at the University of Kentucky, which, again, I was able to witness, they could get on each other's backs. They could say personal things to each other that even didn't necessarily apply to their sport when they were getting on one another. As women, there would be catfights if we did that, which, again, sounds silly, but that's truthfully what I experience on a day-to-day basis.